So we must do two things, two great things together, to encompass that enormous new view that lies before us, but to encompass it within the framework of science, to see it within the whole categorical framework of science, and to see that these two are not separate, but that they are wedded. The bigness of the idea, the newness of the idea, the greatness of it is one with the structure of science, the structure of being itself. So we had begun the Christianity vertical within the matrix yesterday afternoon, taking that first point of intersection, Christianity as the Word, showing the creative basis of the whole universe. That universe, not of materially conceived, but spiritually conceived of God, the great God idea of the infinite self-reflection of being. And so the question that is asked there is, what is the basis of that universe, the basis of the universe of ideas? And so we could see that just as John Dorley had discerned that everything depends on principle, everything has its root, its origin in principle, that principle conceives idea, conceives of itself as idea, knows itself as idea. And with those two great synonymous terms, we picked up the whole of the Word vertical and the Christ vertical to show the origin and the basis, the root of Christianity. It's in the Word and the Christ. So principle expresses itself in idea, and soul comes in and says, yes, and I will now qualify that even further through myself as the identity principle, to show that every idea of principle is an idea that is identical with its principle. It is therefore an idea that is, I want to say, holistic. You see, if it's identical with its principle, it has everything that that principle has. It is everything that that principle is. It's able to do everything that principle does. So we even begin to feel a new sense of idea as being able to operate, something that will show itself forth as we come into the next point of intersection. So soul gives idea complete identity with its principle. It has the whole identity of the Word. And also you can see that soul says, and every idea has its own individual identity. Otherwise, everything would be just like everything else, which it is in quality and nature. But in individuality, every idea is different. It expresses the one infinite individuality of its principle in an absolutely unique way. So soul gives that to every idea and ensures that that identity is identity, that it can never change. So the relationship of idea to its principle can never change, can never be altered or interrupted in any way. Then Spirit comes in and says, yes, and every idea has the quality of reflection. It reflects its principle. It reflects the whole nature of its principle. It doesn't absorb, but it reflects. So every idea is the likeness of its principle. And if every idea has the same principle, and every idea is identical in reflecting its principle. I shouldn't say identical in reflecting, but that every idea reflects its principle, then every idea reflects every other idea. So you have in that basis really the core of the universe, the core of the ideational universe, that you have ideas that are identical with their principle, but that have their unique individuality, their unique identity, and all reflecting each other to bring out one infinitely individualized universe. So we have there the great potential now for operating the primal elements, so to say, the basic elements with which the Christ now can come in and operate, can calculate. So at the point of Christianity as the Christ, we see that the Christ says, yes, and I can work with that. I can express that basis of the universe. I can process, if we want to say process that input in order to effect or to bring about the full and complete outcome at the point of Christianity as Christianity. The full output of the total possibilities of the realm of the infinite self-reflection of being. So how does that take place? We see that the three synonymous terms there are spirit, life, truth. Spirit, you have again that overlap. You see that the preceding point of intersection closed with spirit. We know that in the Christianity order, spirit is a pivotal point. I want to remind you to fall back on the order of Christianity in the study aid, which I thought I had here. Yes, I do. Can I put it up for a moment? Just so we get, that is on page 54, yes. Just to remind ourselves, you see, of that order, and here in the presentation of the structure of the order, you see that you have no indication of the calculus, but you have the pure, clean, straight order of Christianity, and you are given the values, the place values for those 7 synonymous terms in that particular order. And the categories that are existent within that structure, within the structure of that order, are first of all the nature of ideas, then secondly the true humanhood, in other words what that does to the humanhood, how that affects the universe of the human, how it affects the people universe, the peopleianity, a form of consciousness, what it does to that. And then it's the opposite as mortal manhood, what the universe looks like if we do not know and have the full consciousness of what the universe of spirit is. So I don't want to go over every one of those points, but just over, say, perhaps the nature of ideas, just quickly, so that you get a little touch overall of the place values of these 7. So just as we've seen already, principle is saying that all ideas have only one principle. Mind that all is idea. Therefore, if you have but one principle which has expressed itself through the Christ and expresses itself as ideas, then all is idea, the realm of ideas. And soul, every idea is identified with principle. Spirit, every idea reflects every other idea. Life, truth, and love, the fatherhood, sonship, and motherhood of ideas. So we have traced now that first point of intersection of Christianity as the Word has gone from principle, mind, soul, spirit to spirit. So we've taken in something of the whole quality now of those first four synonymous terms in the order. Now we move on to Christianity as the Christ, and we have a linking up or an overlap here now. The element begins with spirit and takes in life and truth. Spirit, life, and truth. So picking up spirit again as though to say, I, spirit, take now that the conclusion of that basis, the conclusion being that we have one principle that is reflected infinitely. And then Spirit says, and the reflection of Spirit as a field of the reflection of all ideas with themselves and with their principle is not static, but is dynamic. That's life. You hear Spirit, life. So Spirit again picks up the whole basis of an infinite reflection of ideas that are in perfect identity with their principle. And life says, and that is something that moves. That is something that operates. You don't have a static realm of ideas, a static realm of reflection. You see, these 16 points of intersection really handle all those points within our own consciousness, specific claims or failures to see scientifically what the whole issue is. I just am feeling that in myself of how when one thinks of a realm of reflection or begins to consider that the tendency is to feel that static. That's, oh, isn't that wonderful? But it's just a kind of there, fixed, and it is fixed. It is fixed in its principle, but the Christ says nothing is ever unmoving in being. Nothing is ever static in being. But the whole of being is dynamic. And so that outcome, the outcome is dynamic. You see, we think of the process or the Christ aspect as being dynamic. Or we think of the Word as having a dynamic within it. But we seldom think of Christianity as having a Christ, as being also the Christ. So Spirit, life, and truth bring that out. Life says that this is a moving, teeming activity of life, of being. It is constantly restructuring. You see, that universe is constantly restructuring now, restructuring in such a way as to bring out all of its possibilities. So we see how the potential of the realm is realized. All the potentiality, all the possibilities within the potential of the creative basis are brought forth are able to come into expression through the Christ, and Christianity as the Christ, through the restructuring, you see. You should already be hearing down the road a piece, science is going to come in and explain all of this, interpret all of this, lift this higher, lift everything that I've seen about the basis and about the selfhood, the Christ selfhood, and about the pure demonstration, and about the God being. When I come to that science vertical, I'm going to have everything gathered up from those first three verticals. And I can hear that coming in when I say to myself, yes, and the Christ takes the whole basis of the universe of ideas, of that field, of the infinite reflection of the one principle and its Christ idea, and is restructuring that, recalculating that, working with that basis to bring out really what? To bring out Christianity as Christianity. We haven't, though, reached that point because we see that the realization of the universe of ideas, which is what the Christ is doing, it is realizing ideas, that is a great individualization of the realm of reflection, bringing out what? Still within the Christ, the divine ideal, or a divine ideal of the whole field of truth. Bringing out, you see, a whole field of truth, as we will see in Christianity as Christianity, but bringing it out ideally. Calculating, you see here that the universe is calculated, specifically calculated by the Christ, so that we get specific views of that universe, specific aspects of the universe, but always the whole universe. Isn't that what the Christ does? And so Mr. Dorley, I don't think mentioned that in the first point of intersection, of course, that he characterized as reflection, and Christianity as the Christ as reality. So we see that reality is the realizing by the Christ of the whole potentiality of the realm of ideas. Isn't that beautiful? So reality, what did we say? Reality is the realizing by the Christ of the full potentiality of the realm of ideas, the field of ideas. Yeah.